So I'm listening to commentary on this political run for being the head chief of America with Kamala and Trump. They're talking about taxes right now. One side has a policy, which is Kamala's side, says, hey, we're going to give you free money in the front, but then we're going to tax you out the yin-yang at the end, where Trump wants to cut taxes and figure out how to charge other countries and get them to pay with tariffs so that he can make things cheaper for the Americans here and have their fair share on paying taxes. And whatever you agree with or not, that's just the policies that they're doing. I'm a patriot. I love America. Love being in this country. I think it's probably the best country in the world when it comes to trying to be able to do what you want to do and how you want to do it within reason. Do I think we're all free? That's a relative term. So let me explain. So if you think about taxes was first created because we needed to pay for wars. And so we tax Americans to say, hey, there's a war, we need to defend people, we need a military, we need to buy, obviously, material and equipment and weapons to protect America. So we're going to tax you, but at the end of the war, the taxes are going to go away because we're done with the war, we don't need to tax you anymore. Well, yes, we continue to keep taxes in. I don't know what percentage of taxes were started. It was definitely a lot less to where we are today, but now we continue to have taxes, and it's crazy. If you make a lot of money, you're taxed 40, 50%. If you make okay money, you're taxed 30%. And then if you're just middle lower, then you're less, right? But we all have our fair share in paying taxes. So if you think you're really free in America, don't pay your taxes and see what happens. If you don't pay your taxes, yes, you will end up in prison because you did not pay taxes. In order for you to be a part of America, you have to pay taxes. It is, I think, something that we need to reform and think about again. Or not even reform, like let's reconsider what that looks like. Hey, I'm driving on a road that's paid by taxes. I have a military that's protecting us that's paid by taxes, right? We have different things, but I think we've come to a point where we're spending billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars per year, trillions of dollars on things that are just wasteful, that it lost its effect of trying to listen to the people and trust our politicians to spend our money wisely. When we are trillions in debt, when we are losing billions of dollars, literally, they say, hey, I don't know, there's like 60 billion that we have no idea where it went. Like throwing money at these countries when Lahaina, Maui, gets only $1,000 for residents, and that only happened one time, right? I think it takes like not even $1 billion to help all the people of Lahaina, Maui, and the fires to rebuild their home, and we're sending multi-billions to these countries, and we're not taking care of our own people in America, the homelessness, the starvations that people are having, but we're throwing billions of dollars. I think it's time to rethink how we do taxes. I think it's time, because yes, we have freedom, right? We have freedom in America, but if we don't pay taxes, you're going to get in jail. You don't have freedom. Like, look it up. If you try to sell lemonade in your neighborhood, it is illegal to sell lemonade in your neighborhood without permitting and getting approval. Look it up, right? We don't really have freedom. We have relative freedom. It's the freest country in the world, but it's not true freedom, right? And so as we're thinking about who we're going to vote for, and I get it, that we can fight each other all day long, but I guarantee you all of us can agree that it is more expensive to live now than it has been in the past. And these taxes and these government spending on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, like to spend money on stupid things. We could all agree that we need to rethink the way we get taxed, and we need to rethink the way they're spending the money. Now, the people who are about to be voted in, are they the answer? I'm going to say probably not. Do I think one side is the answer better than the other? Of course I do, right? Like anybody. And you think probably the other side. But what do you think we have to do to rethink that taxes, to rethink how we contribute to being an American, to add to this country, to add to society? Because the way I see it is like, imagine churches. Imagine churches say, hey, you know what? In order for you to be a member of my church, you have to give 10%. In fact, we are going to make sure that you give 10%. It's no longer an option. It's no longer by the grace and the love of your heart that you give 10%. Now we're going to force you to give 10%. Can you imagine the uproar? Can you imagine the rejection or the people rejecting that idea that now churches are requiring their members and for us Christians, we like, we got to go to church. We got to be a part of society. And you telling me in order for me to be able to participate in society that I have to give 10%, like, in order to join the church world? I mean, we're going to probably be strong-armed to do it because we want to be a part of that society. So yeah, it's a bit ridiculous to have a church and then if it says, you know what, man, we're making good money with this tithing, let's now force the offering. Let's go a little bit more. Hey, you know what, we prayed about it and we feel like we are now going to say, not only are we going to take 10% from your check automatically, but we're going to add another 7% of offering because we feel like the Lord says, man, we really want you to get blessed. So therefore, tithe is what you're supposed to do. And then the offering is now, as a Christian, you want to do offerings too, tithe and offering. So we're going to now demand that we're going to take 7% additional. So 70% of your check is coming to our church. 10% is required by you as a 10%er, and then or 10% tithe, and then the 7% is because you're a Christian, you're calling yourself a Christian, so we're going to help you also with offering. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm sure you're like, bro, that's crazy talk, right? Well, that's kind of what happened with America, a society, a people that came together from the European country to establish a life. I get it. We came in here, we conquered the land, we took away from the native Indians. We can argue about if that was fair or that's right, but we are where we are right now, and there's slavery in the past, there's all this stuff, but America is where we are today now, right? I'm Puerto Rican, and so I still think this is the best country in the world, right? I am a minority living in America, so I understand the challenges we have as minority. I think we're way better off now than we have ever been before. So, as ridiculous as it is when it comes to requiring a tithe and offering, think of America and our society. How do we rethink how taxes are being collected, how much of that tax, and how they're spending the money? Because I think most of Americans are not in agreement on how these politicians, these career politicians, are getting rich, are coming in making $100,000 a year serving as a public service agent and leaving with millions of dollars in the bank for being in politics for 20 years. Think of, how long have you been working your place? For 10, 15 years. Have you been making millions? Or are you still making 100 grand or 50 grand or 150 grand? Right? I don't think there's something a little funky with that, right? So I think we can all agree that most politicians, left and right, we need to do some shaking around, right? And so what do you guys think? How should we move forward with everything that I said? Aloha.